Hi everyone, I'm Gina Minardi and I'm a licensed therapist who got fed up with therapy. This is a one-woman show about my journey of finding the spaces between non-traditional approaches of healing. What I learned is that there's no one right way to heal, and you truly are your best resource. Therapists and healers are meant to support you on your path, but they don't have all of the answers. You do. This show is about the spaces between laughter, tears, thoughts, ego, soul, messy growth, and moments of joy. It's about personal liberation, inner knowing, and the tools that get you there. I will cover topics that make many of us uncomfortable and interviewing people who are willing to go there. I've spent thousands of hours listening to human beings navigate their life story, from rehabs in Malibu to homeless shelters in East LA, and now my private practice. It has been some of the most profound, painful, and beautiful moments in my life. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Spaces Between. Thank you for joining me today. And today's episode is a personal one based on the voyage within with myself and living with more deliberate daily intention. So I'd first like to share with you all the Webster's definition of intention, which is simply done on purpose, deliberate. I have been researching ayahuasca for years in my life. I have been drawn to her majesty, healing abilities, and opening up to God consciousness and diving deep into the realms of myself and the universe. I don't think I've ever shared the following story, but my apologies if somewhere I have. I will circle back to ayahuasca in a moment. As a young kid, around 8 or 9 years old, I remember parading into my mom's room and announcing that I wanted to be a Catholic nun. Marriage and divorce were complicated, and I would have none of that. I wanted to renounce the finer pleasures in life, help people, and commit to Jesus Christ. My mom told me to report back to her at maybe around 16 years old, and if I still felt this way, we could have a deeper conversation about this. Oddly, during this time period, I remember going over to my best friend Lisa Craig's house, and they were Catholic, and they had these crucifixes of Jesus on the wall. I would gently take them off the wall and hide them inside her parents' t-shirt and sock drawers. I couldn't handle seeing the pain of Christ on the cross. Strange kid, yes, there was no doubt. But I had always been drawn to Catholicism, religion, and churches, while both of my parents were agnostic. Fast forward to now. My boyfriend jokes with me that I have become a nun without being conscious of it, or brought this forward from my childhood. I meditate for hours on end, I help people for a living, and prefer the silence of mountains to any party or invitation out. Which brings me to my 40th birthday and ayahuasca. An interaction happened the day before my birthday party that touched a core wound in me that runs so deep, probably past lives deep, and my family and friends that I've known for years were gathered for me, but I couldn't shake it the day of my party. I just wanted to hide in a hole. I had committed to ayahuasca before my 40th birthday, but I still needed to put the deposit down and really make the commitment. My birthday sealed the deal. It was like my insides were yelling to me, wow, 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 you still have some deep old trauma in there, Gina. Let's barf that out to the heavens and go through a third eye picture show of all of the memories or trauma and get that out from your subconscious mind and past. This is not to trivialize ayahuasca, but how I've sort of envisioned the experience from myself and probably reading other people's experiences. So I signed up and I almost blacked out when I put my money down. I spoke with the female shaman and was set to deep dive into the dieta, which is a preparatory cleanse for ceremony. The next several weeks were unlike anything I've experienced. It was the deepest commitment to myself, life, my relationship, and relationship with fear and the unknown. I have always known that I have control issues, which is a very well-known coping mechanism for wanting to feel emotionally safe. But wow, what surfaced was unbelievable over the next couple weeks and incredibly uncomfortable, I might add. It was as if the spirit of Aya was working through me before ceremony. I would get flooded with these memories from my past throughout the day. I'd be out hiking, I'd get a flash of when I stood in front of my mom and she took her last breath. And I was trying so hard, gripping my hands, trying not to cry, and I looked at everyone around her. I was upset that they were not being silent because I had just read the Tibetan book of living and dying. And the instructions were that when you're around someone who is dying, you allow their soul to peacefully enter the next realm. Or the coroner zipping up my mom's body while I sobbed in deep shock in the next room. Then, a memory of me punching my brother's windshield after we had gotten into a huge fight after a Christmas at my aunt's house. When everyone was trying to make us happy and make life feel normal, but we were two kids in deep grief. Then I flashed to my other aunt saying to me drunk when we got to my dad's Christmas party, "You know, you and your brother sure can be inconsiderate to this side of the family. You two always show up late." You get the gist. Memory after memory started pouring out of my body and subconscious mind. I would see these flashes on hikes and meditations, and I started to tune in to what was happening. I was already releasing and purging. So I was still terrified to sit with ayahuasca as I was moving through all of this. And I'm going to share with you a journal entry during this time. Exactly 1 month from ceremony, I have been having a lot of fear come up. Old memories, old traumas, anxiety and fear, almost feeling like I'm living in a state of daily panic attacks, which reminds me of the time period right after mom died. Fear of the unknown, fear of not being able to integrate what I'll see in ceremony, or being able to come back to my quote-unquote normal daily life. Fear of not coming back as Gina, not being able to help my clients. One of my biggest things coming to the surface for me is that my mind deliberates. The back and forth, the unwillingness to let go, and let go of control. To step into the unknown. Damn it. Didn't I surrender and let go when I went into silence for 3 days when I was sick as all hell with COVID? I couldn't breathe and my lungs rattled at night. I had to face my fear of death, and now, interestingly enough, I fear that I'll see hell realms or dark beings that I won't be able to unsee or integrate. That maybe I'll go insane, versus my mind painting the story in the light instead of the dark. I could also experience this deep maternal love of God, light beings, and maybe be held in a safe and sweet embrace. What if my mind continued to tell that story instead of the other? What if I trusted and surrendered to the universe about this entire experience? Listen through your heart, Gina, because right now you're living in your mind and the mental construction of control, ego, and trying to figure it all out. This is not something to analyze your way through, but to feel through your heart. So I did just that. I focused on deep heart-centered meditations and breath work. I continued the dieta for weeks of no alcohol, caffeine, dairy, or meat. I asked for guidance and signs if ceremony was for the highest evolution of my soul, and for God to throw a big-ass wall up or hit me with a 2x4 if it wasn't. It seemed that all signs and synchronicities were pointing to a huge neon sign of yes. Well, I've dropped into big waves before, so it looks like I'm dropping into other dimensions of consciousness. Here is my next journal entry. Tonight, I felt like I really wanted a glass of wine with Jonas. He was having one and he seemed super relaxed. I felt serious, uptight, and not so fun. And the old patterns and habits in my brain were reminding me that wine makes you more fun and relaxed, Gina. But I said no and realized I just wanted to observe and sit with my uncomfortable feelings. I wanted to be present. So I told Jonas that, and shit, I can't actually believe that I'm doing this, but I feel proud of myself for committing and surrendering. And I'm actually having a feeling of much more neutrality and groundedness. So I'm going to continue with being very intentional with each day. Being mindful, but not psycho, about the food that I eat, noticing what makes me feel good, what doesn't, creating space for my thoughts, and lots of space for myself in general. If I'm going to live in my imagination, which most of us humans do, and we tell the worst future stories out of fear, I am just going to switch that and tell the story of being excited and overjoyed to sit in ceremony. That it will be a coming home of sorts. As Trinity de Guzman says, the way of ceremony in the past is that of the masculine paradigm. This is the way of the feminine. There can be lots of beauty, love, and light. Next journal entry. Wow, 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 wow. What a day, what a meditation. During my meditation, I started chanting internally and not out loud. I began swaying back and forth, and I noticed that my teeth were subtly chattering. It felt like I was releasing energy. I then dropped deep into the black space between. My whole body began vibrating from the sacral area up to the top of my head. I had tears streaming down my face and could feel a smile stretching so wide it hurt. I was in a state of pure bliss and pure love. There wasn't anywhere I wanted to be, and you could have left me there for days. Then, out of nowhere, I heard a strong whisper. You don't need it, you don't need it, you don't need it. The medicine is in you. I then started laughing my ass off, like crying laughing. I had previously asked the universe or God to hit me with a 2x4 if I didn't need to do ayahuasca. And of course, I would ask for it that way. But instead, I was delivered the message with pure love, bliss, and light. I walked out of our bedroom, and I think Jonas thought I was on drugs, and I haven't quite come down from that day. I'm not trying to say that now I'm the nun that I claimed I wanted to be to my mother, but I tapped into something, and this wasn't the first time, but it seems like in some ways I need a constant reminder that we are fragments of God consciousness, or whatever you feel comfortable calling it, fragments of the universe. We are our own best healers. I was chuckling when I texted my girlfriend Lee from the last episode that even when I wrote the trailer for this entire podcast 1 year ago, I understood that we are our own best healers on a cerebral level, but now I understand it through the language of my heart and connection to source energy and my soul. It is all about living from your heart and not letting your head run the show. The mind is an amazing tool, but it is simply that, a tool to help us get through life. But as Eckhart Tolle says, you shouldn't listen to 95% of what the mind spews. So I feel like I just had a month of ceremony with myself and with life. I needed to peel back old habits that I've never been able to let go of. And I'm not sitting here wanting to preach to you, get rid of caffeine, stop drinking and smoking weed, eat less meat, because fruits and vegetables are so much better for you. But switching up my routines and habits offered a new experience for my mind, body, and spirit. a lightness and clarity, a much more regulated nervous system, which, as we all know by now, what happens when our wounds and old traumas get activated? Well, so does our nervous system. We are much more reactive, quick to fight, flight, or freeze instead of leaning into the art of the sacred pause, pausing to see how we really feel, pausing to see if we really need that glass of wine or joint. Can we just feel? Can we respond versus react? We live in a society that is terrified to feel. We rely on the external to feel good and comfortable with ourselves, whether that is more money, more power, more success, being more medicated, which stretches far beyond psychotropics. You name it, we love it. As I've said before, I'm not here to be the pleasure police. I think pleasure is a beautiful and divine right in life, but it's all about looking to your relationship with yourself, God, and life. Does it feel connected on a daily basis? Do you feel like you outsource more than coming back home to yourself? Does home feel scary? Home being yourself. I think I needed to go through all of this to realize that my home was created in perfection, just as yours is. I don't need to fix it, get rid of things, or repaint it. I need to honor its majesty as is. I needed to get a bit more intentional in my life and live more from my heart than my mind and ego. And I know that you can do this as well. Life is a gift and it can be joyous. I want to end by sharing some of Sadhguru's wisdom, who is a mystic and yogi, from sections of his book, Inner Engineering, that I have been reading and just loving. So here we go. And that is what I'm trying to teach people now. If you really want to know spirituality, don't look for anything. People think spirituality is about looking for God or truth or the ultimate. The problem is you have already defined what you are looking for. The ability to simply look and be without motive is missing in the world today. Everybody is a psychological creature wanting to assign meaning to everything. Seeking is not about looking for something. It is about enhancing your perception, your very faculty of seeing. The spiritual quest is not a cultivated choice. It is not an induced quest. It is a natural longing. But unless you handle it consciously, it will not yield. When being peaceful, blissful, and joyous are not efforts anymore, you naturally start seeking, want to know the nature of life. Mysticism on this planet evolved in those places where people learn the technology of being ecstatic by their own nature. This is because only when you are blissful will you be in the highest states of receptivity and truly willing to explore all aspects of life. Otherwise, you would not dare. Because if keeping yourself pleasant is a big challenge, you can't take on other challenges. We have seen that every subatomic particle in your body is responding to a limitless way to the great dance of energies in the cosmos. The only reason you are not experiencing the life process in all of its majesty and profundity is your current state of mental resistance. Your psychological structure is a stone wall. If you are willing, every moment of your life can be a fantastic experience. Just the act of inhaling and exhaling can be a tremendous love affair. Life has left everything open for you. Being responsible is taking ownership of your life. It means you have taken the first radical step to being a complete human being, fully conscious and fully human. In taking responsibility and beginning the journey towards conscious living, you are putting an end to age-old patterns of assigning blame outward or even heavenward. You have begun the greatest adventure life has to offer, the voyage within. The reason the simple things like being peaceful, joyful, loving have become ultimate aspirations is that people are living without paying any attention to the life process. When most people say life, they mean the accessories of life, their work, their cars, the clothes they wear, even their family and relationships. The one thing they miss is life, the life process itself, the essential life that is you. The forms, the names, the ideas are varied, but essentially when you say God, you mean which is responsible for the universe. There is so much talk of God and heaven mainly because human beings have not realized the immensity of being human. It is obvious that the very source of life is throbbing within you in some way. The source of your life is also the source of every other life and the source of all creation. This dimension of intelligence or consciousness exists in every one of us. The deliverance of every human being lies in finding access to this deathless dimension. To be joyful and peaceful within yourself every moment of your life, to be able to perceive life beyond its physical limitations. These are not superhuman qualities. These are human possibilities. Thank you so much for listening and joining me today. And I hope after listening to this, maybe just take a moment to journal and get intentional with yourself. What are some habits or some things that you'd like to shift? Where would you like some more clarity in your life? And yeah, it's all in us. So again, thank you for joining, sending love. Have a beautiful day. Hi, friends. If you have been enjoying Spaces Between, please take a moment to subscribe, and leaving a review is the cherry on top. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you next week.